There's this very specific frustration that I think a lot of us have when we try to understand health, especially with really serious topics like cancer recovery or disease prevention.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like you have two totally separate worlds.
Right. On one hand, you've got the academic world. It's all dense medical journals. It's super high tech, and it's focused almost entirely on drugs and genetics.
Things most of us can't really access or, frankly, understand.
Exactly. And then the other world is the wellness internet, which is, well, let's be honest, it can get a little fluffy.
A little fluffy is putting it mildly.
It's a lot of eat clean and good vibes, but it almost never tells you why. So you have to choose between this hard science you need a PhD for or this vague advice that just feels like a placebo.
It's that classic gap, right?
Yeah.
Between the what and the how. The doctors tell you what disease you have, the wellness blogs tell you how you should feel, but nobody really connects the biology of your kitchen to the biology of your cells.
That is exactly why I wanted to do this deep dive today. We're looking at a breakdown from Dr. Amy, and she is just the perfect person to bridge that exact gap.
Shit really is.
She's a cancer researcher, so she gets the biochemistry, she knows the cellular mechanisms, but, and this is the key part, she's also a 9-year cancer survivor.
And that dual perspective is so incredibly rare. I mean, researchers are usually looking at cells in a petri dish. It's a very sterile, very controlled environment.
Right.
Survivors are dealing with the messy reality of how they feel every day, the fatigue, the anxiety, the nausea. Dr. Amy is basically saying those two things are the same conversation. She's bringing the petri dish to the dinner table.
I love that. So our mission today is really specific. We're not just going to list some superfoods and tell you to eat more kale. We are going to unpack the specific biological mechanisms of 4 things that are probably in your kitchen right now.
Garlic, turmeric, ginger, and cayenne pepper.
And we want to understand what they're actually signaling to the body, at a cellular level.
And signal is the perfect word. The core concept she introduces, and this really frames the whole thing, is this idea of the internal environment.
Let's unpack that first, because I think most of us think of disease as like a light switch. You're healthy, healthy, healthy.
Okay.
Then flip, now you're sick.
It's a really common misconception.
Yeah.
We think of it as an invader or some kind of sudden glitch. But Dr. Amy says we need to think more like farmers.
Like farmers?
Yeah, think of your body as a garden or a field. If the soil conditions are wrong, if it's, say, acidic, inflammatory, low in nutrients, you create an environment where weeds can just thrive.
And in this analogy, the cancer cells, they're the weeds.
Exactly. We all have abnormal cells popping up in our bodies all the time. But in healthy soil, they can't get a foothold. They just struggle to grow. The problem is when that internal environment shifts to support them.
So the goal isn't just about killing the weed.
Right. That's what chemotherapy or surgery does. And those are absolutely necessary interventions,
Yeah.
but they don't change the soil.
You can pull a weed, but if the soil is still perfect for weeds, another one's just going to pop right up.
Precisely. So Dr. Amy's whole approach with these spices is about, terraforming your own body. You reduce inflammation, you regulate insulin, you support your immune system, and you make the biological terrain hostile to disease.
You make it hard for the weeds to grow.
You make it very hard.
Okay, let's start terraforming then. We've got 4 tools today, and the first one is the heavyweight. It's apparently the most studied culinary ingredient in cancer biology, but, and this was a huge shock for me, it's also the one most of us are using completely wrong.
We're talking about garlic.
We are.
It's a total powerhouse,
Yeah.
but it's also a little chemistry set in a bulb. And the user error rate is massive.
I'll admit it, I am part of the problem. My go-to move is chop the garlic, throw it straight into the hot oil so it sizzles, then I start cooking. I just assumed, as long as the garlic is in the food, I'm getting the benefits.
And that is exactly how you kill its anti-cancer potential.
Okay, so walk me through it. What am I destroying?
So the magic compound in garlic, the one that really does the heavy lifting, is called allicin.
Allison, got it.
But here's the catch. Allicin doesn't exist in a whole raw clove of garlic. It's not just sitting there waiting for you.
It has to be manufactured.
In a way, yes.
Huh.
A garlic clove has a precursor molecule, it's called allin, and an enzyme called allinase. And in a whole clove, they're kept in separate little compartments. They never touch.
Okay.
When you smash or chop or crush the garlic, you break those cell walls. The enzyme meets the precursor, a chemical reaction fires off, and that's when allicin is created.
So it's like a glow stick. It doesn't work until you snap it and mix the 2 chemicals.
That is a perfect analogy. You have to snap it. But here's where your cooking method and my old cooking method causes the problem. That enzyme allanase is incredibly sensitive to heat.
Yeah.
If you chop the garlic and throw it in a hot pan 2 seconds later, the heat destroys the enzyme instantly.
Before it even has time to make the allicin.
Exactly. You've snapped the glow stick, but then you froze it before it could light up. You stop the reaction dead. You get the garlic flavor, but you get almost none of a bioactive payload.
So what's the fix? What's the protocol here?
It's called the 10-minute rule. Dr. Amy is so adamant about this.
Yeah.
You smash or chop your garlic, and then you do nothing.
You just let it sit?
You let it sit on the cutting board, away from the heat, for a full 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes.
That's the time the enzyme needs to do its work, to convert the precursor into allicin. And the good news is, once the allicin is actually formed, it's pretty heat stable. So after 10 minutes, throw it in the pan, roast it, do whatever you want. The medicine is already made.
That is such a high leverage change. It costs nothing. It doesn't change the recipe. It just requires a little patience.
A little patience, yeah.
So, okay, let's say we've done it right. We waited the 10 minutes. We ate the garlic. What is that allicin actually doing to our internal soil?
Well, it's working on a few fronts, but maybe the most exciting one is something called immune surveillance.
That sounds like a spy movie.
It kind of is. Your body has these specialized white blood cells called natural killer cells, or NK cells.
Say NK cells.
Right, and most of your immune cells are like beat cops, just patrolling. NK cells are the SWAT team. They're specifically programmed to identify cells that have mutated or become cancerous, and they eliminate them immediately.
And garlic helps them do that.
It acts as a force multiplier. It increases the activity and the number of these NK cells. It's like you're upgrading your security system software and hiring more guards at the same time.
That's incredible. But Dr. Amy also mentioned the liver, didn't she? Especially for hormone-sensitive cancers.
Yes, this is crucial for things like breast cancer or ovarian cancer. The liver is your body's filtration plant, right? It has to break down used estrogen so it can be excreted.
Right.
If the liver is sluggish, you get a buildup of these dirty estrogen metabolites. And they can recirculate and actually fuel tumor growth.
Right.
Garlic provides these sulfur compounds that the liver absolutely needs to run those filtration pathways.
So it's not just attacking one thing, it's supporting the whole infrastructure.
The whole system.
There was a story Dr. Amy shared about a client that I think really grounds all of this.
Oh yeah, the breast cancer survivor she worked with. This woman came to Dr. Amy just completely overwhelmed. She had a whole countertop full of supplements. She was reading every diet book, and she was just paralyzed by fear.
The wellness overwhelm, I know that feeling.
Exactly. She felt like if she missed one pill, the cancer would come roaring back.
Yeah.
So Dr. Amy just stripped it all back. She said, let's just focus on food with biological activity.
Okay.
And the main thing was consistent, properly prepared garlic.
And what was the result?
It wasn't some overnight miracle, but within weeks, her energy came back, her digestion stabilized.
Yeah.
But the biggest shift really was psychological. She went from a place of fear of, I hope this pill works, to a place of agency. She knew that by smashing that garlic and waiting 10 minutes, she was actively participating in her own recovery.
That shift from being a patient to being a participant is it's huge.
It's everything.
Okay, let's move to ingredient number 2. If garlic is the security system, this next one feels more like the fire extinguisher. We're talking about turmeric.
Turmeric. It's everywhere right now.
Yeah.
It's the golden child of anti-inflammatory research, and the active compound is curcumin.
Right.
But frankly, we have another big user error situation here.
I see turmeric lattes, turmeric in smoothies, people just sprinkling it on salads.
And sadly, most of those people are basically wasting their money. The big problem with curcumin is bioavailability. It's hydrophobic, so it hates water, and it's really poorly absorbed by the gut.
So it just passes right through you.
Mostly, yeah. And on top of that, if any does get in, your liver sees it as a foreign substance and tries to flush it out immediately. So to make it work, you need a key. Actually, you need 2 keys to unlock it.
2 keys. Okay, what are they?
Key number 1 is piperine. It's the active compound in black pepper. This is why you always see good supplements pairing them. The piperine stops the liver from dumping the curcumin so quickly. It increases absorption by something like 2,000%.
2,000%. Wow, just from a little black pepper.
It's a massive difference. And key number 2 is fat. Since curcumin is fat-soluble, it needs a little lipid carrier to get across the intestinal wall.
So a dry turmeric capsule with a glass of water is pretty useless.
It's very inefficient. You want to eat it in a curry with coconut milk or, on roasted vegetables with some olive oil. The formula is spice plus pepper plus fat.
Spice, pepper, fat. Got it. Okay, so now we've gotten the curcumin into the bloodstream. We know it fights inflammation, but Dr. Amy got really specific about a mechanism called angiogenesis.
Yes.
It sounds super technical, but the concept is fascinating.
It really is. So angio means blood vessel, and genesis means creation. Angiogenesis is the birth of new blood vessels.
Okay.
When a tumor starts to grow, it can only get to about the size of a pinhead on its own. To get any bigger, it needs a dedicated blood supply. It needs to build a highway to itself.
So the tumor basically tricks the body into building it a road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sends out these chemical SOS signals, and the body sprouts new blood vessels to feed it. Curcumin is an angiogenesis inhibitor. It jams those signals. It stops the permit for the highway construction.
So you're literally starving the tumor of the infrastructure it needs to get bigger.
Yes. And this connects back to quality of life, too. Dr. Amy talked about a client who was dealing with terrible joint pain after her treatment, which is just inflammation, right?
Right.
By using that daily turmeric pepper fat protocol as a nutritional therapy, her pain scores dropped in a huge way. So if it's lowering the inflammation in her joints, it's also lowering the inflammation in that internal soil.
It's the same mechanism. Wow. Okay, let's pivot to number 3. This one surprised me because I only ever associate it with one thing, really. Nausea. Ginger.
Ginger is the unsung hero. We totally pigeonhole it as the stomach settler. And look, if you are going through chemotherapy, ginger tea is an absolute lifesaver. But Dr. Amy calls ginger an agent against chaos.
Chaos is a strong word. What does she mean biologically?
Well, cancer thrives in metabolic instability. So think high blood sugar, insulin spikes, oxidative stress. That's a chaotic, noisy environment. Ginger helps to dampen that noise and stabilize the whole system.
Let's talk about that insulin piece. Why is insulin such a big deal when it comes to cancer?
Yeah, this is something people often miss. High circulating insulin and something called insulin-like growth factors, or IGF, they act like fertilizer for a lot of cancer cells. They send signals for cells to grow and divide.
So if you're constantly spiking your blood sugar, you're just ringing the dinner bell for those abnormal cells.
That's a great way to put it. And the research suggests ginger helps improve insulin sensitivity. It helps your body clear glucose from the blood more efficiently, so you don't need to produce as much insulin. It just lowers the volume of that growth signal.
So it's metabolic control.
It is. And there's another layer here that I love. Dr. Amy told this story about a survivor who was struggling to eat protein. No appetite, the thought of meat made her sick, and she was losing muscle.
Which is a vicious cycle. You need protein to rebuild, but you can't stomach it.
Exactly. So the intervention was so simple. A cup of strong ginger tea before the meal. Not just for comfort, but to stimulate gastric motility, to get the stomach moving and ready. And it worked. It let her tolerate the protein she needed.
So in that case, the ginger wasn't fighting the cancer directly. It was enabling the patient to fuel her own fight.
And that's such an important distinction. Sometimes the win is just being able to eat a piece of chicken. That stabilizes the body so the other systems, the NK cells, the liver, can actually do their jobs.
That really connects the microscopic science to the macroscopic reality of just trying to eat dinner.
Yes.
Okay, we have one left, and I have to say, this one comes with a bit of a warning label. Cayenne pepper?
Yeah, we are turning up the heat now. The active compound is capsaicin. That's the thing that burns your tongue.
I've seen the lab studies where capsaicin causes cancer cells to self-destruct, but Dr. Amy focuses on its impact on circulation, and I have to ask, isn't that a contradiction?
What do you mean?
Well, with turmeric, we were just celebrating that it stops blood vessel formation. Now with cayenne, we're saying it increases circulation. How can both be good? Don't we want to starve the cancer?
That is such a great question, and it really gets to the nuance of all this. You have to distinguish between angiogenesis and perfusion. Angiogenesis is creating new, abnormal vessels to feed a tumor. We want to stop that. But perfusion is the healthy movement of oxygenated blood through your normal tissues. We want to increase that.
Why is more oxygen bad for a tumor? I would have thought more blood flow means more food for it.
It's actually the opposite. Cancer cells often adapt to thrive in what's called a hypoxic environment, low oxygen. They switch their metabolism to ferment sugar. It's called the Warburg effect.
So they like the swamp.
They love the swamp. By increasing healthy circulation with capsaicin, you're flushing the tissues with oxygen. You are oxygenating the swamp, making the environment way less hospitable for them.
That makes perfect sense. And I'm guessing better circulation helps the immune system too.
Precisely. Remember those natural killer cells. They need to get to the tumor to fight it. If circulation is poor, they can't get to the battlefield. Cayenne helps clear the highway so the SWAT team can get to the crime scene.
But you mentioned a warning label.
Tolerance. This is so important. Dr. Amy is very clear. You cannot brute force this. If your digestive lining has been damaged by chemo, or if you have sores in your mouth, throwing cayenne down there is a terrible idea.
It would just cause more inflammation.
It would be like pouring salt in a wound. Totally counterproductive. This is not a no pain, no gain situation.
Not at all.
The goal is gentle stimulation. If you can tolerate it, start with a tiny pinch, a few times a week. We are not trying to do a ghost pepper challenge here.
Right. It's that balance between the lab data that says this kills cancer cells and the human reality that says this hurts my stomach.
And that's why you need that survivor perspective. A Petri dish doesn't get heartburn. A person does. You have to treat the whole person.
So if we look at the full spice rack, we've got a pretty comprehensive toolkit here. Garlic for the immune system, turmeric for inflammation, ginger for metabolic stability, and cayenne for circulation.
It covers almost every single base of that internal environment.
But the real takeaway here isn't about any single one of these, is it? It's about how they add up over time.
It's the cumulative effect.
Yeah.
Dr. Amy has this phrase that really stuck with me. Each meal is a message. One curry isn't a cure. One cup of ginger tea isn't a miracle. But if you do this 3 times a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 messages a week you're sending to your cells.
And over a year, that's over 1,000 biological interventions.
Exactly. You are consistently, slowly shifting the parameters of that internal soil. You're making it harder and harder for the disease to find a comfortable place to live. It's not about a magic bullet. It's about relentless positive pressure.
And it really shifts the psychology of it all. So often, patients feel like they're just waiting and hoping, waiting for the next scan, hoping the drugs are working.
It's such a passive state, and it feels helpless. This approach, it offers what she calls confident cooking. When you're standing there smashing your garlic and checking your watch for those 10 minutes, you're not just making dinner.
No.
You're engaging in a biological strategy. You know why you're doing it.
It turns the kitchen into a kind of control room.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
You are taking back some measure of control.
It really does challenge how we look at medicine. We're so trained to look for the high-tech, the synthetic, the incredibly expensive solution. And look, those things are vital. We are not saying to skip your oncologist.
Absolutely not.
But it's so provocative to think that a huge amount of control over our own cellular destiny is just sitting there in a $3 jar of turmeric, just waiting to be activated by a grind of black pepper.
Our bodies are listening. They're listening to every single input we give them. These spices are just some of the clearest, loudest instructions we can possibly send.
Well, I know for a fact I'm going to be looking at my cutting board a little differently tonight. I might actually set a timer for that garlic for the first time in my life.
Your natural killer cells will appreciate the patience.
That's it for this deep dive. Go check your spice rack, think about the soil you're cultivating, and we'll see you next time.